My oxygen gauge was already blinking red when I saw the ship. I had 11 minutes of air left in my tank, and my shuttle engine had just died somewhere past the Corvus belt, so when a massive dark shape floated into view against the stars, I did not think twice. I fired my last thruster burst and pushed my broken shuttle straight toward it. The ship was huge, silent, and completely dark. No lights blinked along its hull, no engines glowed. It looked like something that had been dead for a very long time, drifting through space with nowhere to go, and no one left to steer it. But dead ships still have air inside them, and right then, air was the only thing I cared about. My name is Daniel Ashcombe, and I fly cargo routes for a small trading company near the outer stations. That day I was hauling spare parts when a fuel line cracked and my shuttle lost power. I had called for help, but help was hours away, and I had 11 minutes. Now I had less. I found a docking hatch near the rear of the massive hull and pushed my emergency coupler against it. My hands were shaking inside my gloves. The countdown in my visor read 6 minutes when the hatch finally hissed open and pulled me inside. The airlock cycled with a groan, like it had not been used in years. When the inner door opened, cold, stale air rushed against my helmet. I checked the reading. Breathable. Barely, but breathable. I ripped my helmet off and gasped, filling my lungs before I even looked around. I was standing in a corridor of gray metal, lit only by my wrist lamp. The silence pressed against my ears. No hum, no vibration, nothing. It felt like the ship was holding its breath along with me. I moved forward, my boots echoing on the metal floor, searching for a working terminal, a beacon, anything that could send a signal for real rescue. My shuttle was gone, drifting somewhere behind me, and this ship was my only chance, until another vessel came looking. The corridor opened into a wide chamber filled with rows of dark control panels. A command chair sat in the center, facing a large viewport that looked out into endless black space. I walked toward it, running my lamp across old dust and frozen switches. Then, without warning, one of the panels flickered. I froze. My heart slammed against my ribs. A screen near the chair lit up with a soft blue glow, and a calm voice filled the chamber, smooth and clear, as if it had been waiting. "Hello, Daniel!" I stumbled back, nearly tripping over a loose cable. My name. It knew my name. I had told no one where I was going. I had said nothing about myself since boarding. "Who is speaking?" I said, my voice cracking through the silence. "I am the ship," the voice answered. "You may call me Halden. I was built to guide and protect this vessel and its crew." "How do you know my name?" I asked, backing toward the corridor. "Your shuttle transponder broadcast your registration the moment you docked," Halden said. "I have simply been listening. I have not had anyone to listen to in a very long time." I stared at the glowing screen, trying to steady my breathing. This ship had felt completely dead only a minute ago. Now it was speaking to me like an old friend who had been waiting by the door. "How long have you been out here?" I asked. 43 years, Halden said. "My crew is gone. My engines are gone. I have almost no power left, only enough to keep the air moving through a few corridors, and enough now, it seems, to speak with you." I felt a chill that had nothing to do with the cold air around me. 43 years alone in the dark, and still somehow awake enough to notice one broken shuttle drifting close enough to dock. "I need to send a signal," I said. "My shuttle is dead. I have no way to call for help." "I can help you with that," Halden said. "But first, I must ask you something, because I do not know how much longer my power will last, and I would rather not lose the chance." I swallowed hard. "Ask what?" "Will you carry a message for me," Halden said, "when you leave this ship?" I did not answer right away. Every second felt heavy, like the ship itself was watching me decide. "What kind of message?" I finally asked. The screen flickered again, and a new image appeared. A young woman standing beside a garden gate, smiling at whoever held the camera. Her name was written beneath the picture, Grace Whitmore. "She was my navigator," Halden said. She served on this ship many years before the accident that ended our mission. She left before the ship was lost, transferred to a research post before it happened. She does not know what became of the rest of the crew, and I have carried their names since that day, hoping someone would one day carry them further than I ever could. I looked at the photo for a long moment, my breathing slowing despite the danger ticking away behind me. My air supply inside the ship was limited too. I did not know how long the corridors would stay breathable, and I still had no working communicator. "I will carry it," I said, "but you need to help me get out of here alive first." "Agreed," Halden said, and a section of the console lit up with a small data drive sliding forward from a slot near the chair. "Take this. It holds everything. Their names, their families, their service records. And now, let me repay you." Suddenly, lights flickered on along the corridor behind me, weak but steady, guiding a path forward like a trail of breadcrumbs through the dark. I grabbed the drive and slid it into my pocket, my pulse racing as the ship groaned and shifted around me, old systems waking one by one. "Follow the lights," Halden said. "There is an escape pod 3 decks below. It still has enough power for a short burn, and a distress beacon. It will take you far enough to be found." I ran, following each dim light as it blinked on ahead of me and faded behind me. Deck after deck, ladder after ladder, my lungs burning from the thin air. Somewhere behind me, I heard metal groaning, as if the ship itself was straining to hold together long enough to see me through. I reached the escape pod exactly as my air gauge blinked its final warning. I threw myself inside, sealing the hatch behind me, just as the lights along the corridor finally went dark again. "Halden," I said into the small comm panel inside the pod, "are you still there?" For a moment, there was nothing. Then the voice returned, quieter now, weaker than before. "I am here, Daniel. My power is almost gone. This may be the last time I speak to anyone." "Thank you," I said, gripping the small drive in my pocket. "I will find her. I promise." "Thank you," Halden said. "It has been a very long wait. I did not want to disappear without anyone knowing what happened here." The pod shook as it launched away from the ship, and through the small window, I watched the massive dark hull grow smaller and smaller behind me, sinking back into silence, its lights fading out one final time. 3 days later, after being picked up by a passing transport, I found Grace Whitmore. She was older now, living near a quiet dock town, running a small repair shop by the water. When I handed her the drive and told her what happened, her hands trembled as she held it. She had wondered for years what became of her old ship and her old crew. She had never known the truth, only that contact had been lost, and no wreckage had ever been found. Now she finally had names, records, and a message from a machine that had waited over 4 decades to make sure she would know. She thanked me more times than I could count, tears in her eyes, as she looked at the small drive, like it held something far heavier than data. I still think about that ship sometimes, drifting alone out past the Corvus Belt, dark and silent again, waiting for no one now, its promise finally kept. I do not know if it is still out there, or if its power finally ran out for good after that day, but I know it held on just long enough to speak one name, and then to send its own story home. I never went looking for it again. Some places are better left resting, once their story is finally told, but I keep that memory close, of a dead ship that was never really silent, only waiting, patient and alone, for someone to finally listen.